On this episode of the Star Trek Universe podcast, we're going to be talking about the final 2 episodes of Star Trek Lower Decks, Crisis Point, and No Small Parts, right after these messages from somebody that we can't control.
Welcome to the Star Trek Universe podcast. My name is Matthew Carroll.
And I am David C. Robertson.
Dave O, how are you, buddy?
I'm okay. Man.
Yeah?
Man, okay.
Okay.
So
you sound like you really got something on your heart. Please share.
I do, man.
Is it about Lower Decks or is it unrelated to Lower Decks?
It is tangential to Lower Decks.
All right. You know, well, give me your tangential.
I'm gonna say right up front, we're gonna get to these episodes. We're gonna talk about these Lower Decks episodes. I enjoyed them. I really like them. They might be my favorite. You know what? They're my favorite too of the season.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. I think the show got consistently better, and these last 2 are really, really great.
But yeah, man, I gotta say, and I'm sorry, I don't like being this guy. They came out with the news about Star Trek Prodigy, the Nickelodeon animated series, man.
Okay. And
I'm just not looking forward to it now.
Oh, okay, tell me the news, man. Tell me the news.
Kate Mulgrew's returning as Captain Janeway.
Oh, well, I hear you. I hear why you would not feel good about that. I mean, do we know yet? Is she like just going to be an admiral on the show, or is she like the main character? What's the deal?
I'm confused. I don't know. They're saying Captain Janeway at every turn. Kurtzman said Captain Janeway was held to a different standard than her predecessors. She was asked to embody an inhuman level of perfection in order to be accepted as good enough by the doubters, but showed them all what it means to be truly outstanding. We can think of no better captain to inspire the next generation of dreamers on Nickelodeon than she. The Nickelodeon president of animation said Kate's portrayal of Captain Janeway is truly iconic and has resonated with the global audience for many years. We can't wait to see her bring this character to life in a whole new way while continuing to be an inspiration for both new and loyal fans. And they said that this show is about a group of, I guess, teens who have taken a derelict ship and run off with it. So I don't know what's going on exactly.
Interesting. So it's about teens, but it somehow involves Janeway.
From what I can gather, but man, I'll give it a shot, and we'll talk about it on the show.
Yeah. Well, what? Okay, that doesn't upset me or make me sad. I think Kate Mulgrew. I never had a problem with Kate Mulgrew, really. My problem was how she was written and how Janeway as a character. And honestly, it's not even really about. The show is inconsistent in it, and she as the captain is constantly making inconsistent decisions that bother me. To be fair,
I think they all do.
Sure.
Throughout the runs.
I think that's true. But my main problem with Voyager as a show is the lack of change. And that is a mandated thing. That had nothing to do with Kate Mulgrew, had nothing to do with Janeway even. It's the lack of change over the course of the series and just the insistence on returning to the status quo constantly just bothered the hell out of me. Like it was such a great opportunity to have this sweeping story.
Right.
And then the promise of that show did not live up to what it was in my mind. But I like Kate Mulgrew. She on Orange is the New Black. She's awesome. She's a great actress. And so given a different writing team, given a different era of Trek, I'm down to see what happens with her. The thing that worries me about it is that it seems like they're just doing another Picard thing.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of worrying, where it'll just be and I like Picard, but I don't need them to just keep doing, well, okay, now I do, because now they're doing the two of them. Now I need them to do Cisco series.
Nah, man, nah. I don't think Avery Brooks is in a mental state to be able to even accomplish it. Honestly,
that's possible, but I really just mean I'd love to see a DS9, some sort of continuation of DS9. And we've got some Easter eggs already with Quarks being in Picard. Anyway, all that to say, I actually that excites me for this reason. It immediately makes me think, like, what era is this set in? I'm assuming she'd be playing an older version of Janeway. I doubt they'd go younger. Her voice will be so different. Especially after watching her on Orange is the New Black. She's really old and grizzled on Orange is the New Black.
Yeah, I just heard her. She was just during the announcement, she was talking, and I'm like, yeah, you don't sound like you did 25 years ago, whatever it was.
Right. So that makes me think, so you say it's about this group of teenagers. My immediate thought would be like, it's about the teenage children of Voyager crew or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Anyway, either way.
We'll see. We'll see what it is.
Whether it's that or anything else. The thing that excites me about it is it sounds like it might fill in some gaps of what happened after Voyager, which we just don't have anything really to fill in those gaps.
I mean, we know that Janeway's an admiral in Nemesis.
Yeah, that's true, but that's it.
Not to say that she couldn't be demoted at some point like Kirk.
Right. I just mean in the universe. Like, other than Nemesis, there's nothing after Voyager, and I would love to know what happened in the world of Trek in those intervening years.
Yeah.
So that excites me.
I'm interested. I'm curious.
Yeah, man. I'm curious, and it's a show being made for Nickelodeon. It's probably not going to be my bag, but I'm still going to watch it. Let's face it.
Yeah. I'll watch it. Damn it.
They got me again. Every time I think I'm out, they keep sucking me back, and that's not true. We never thought we were out. We've always known we were going to watch every Star Trek series, and now they're just giving us like 6 of them. I feel like I've been thrown into a closet with a packet of Star Trek.
Yeah, if they do new DS9 material, like DS9 was always darker and grittier and more adult, I feel like, than TNG and Voyager and stuff. So now that Picard is all dark and gritty, there's really only one place to go with DS9. Yeah, and that is into adult entertainment. Yeah, just DS9 porn all the way. Right. It should be called Labia Bajora.
That's good. That was good.
Of course, starring Nana Visitor. Please.
All right.
I can't help it. I've got to watch it. It's Star Trek.
Sorry, honey. It's Tuesday. I'll be in my bunk. Okay. Let's talk about Lower Decks. How about that?
Sure. We've alienated the entire female listenership.
Yep, we've run the gamut from
3 of them.
We've talked about our Nickelodeon, the Nickelodeon show coming, and we've talked about our desire for a Star Trek porn set in the part of Star Trek universe.
I didn't say desire. I
feel like you implied it.
I said I enjoy. You know what? I would enjoy the pun probably way more than the show.
Okay, so let's get into Lower Decks. A good middle ground between those two that we're proposing. Okay, episode 9.
How bawdy do you think this show is?
Well, it's between a Nickelodeon kids show and porn. It's somewhere in the middle of those two things. Yeah, I stand by it.
If you say so. Yeah, I mean, I've seen Boimler's censor bar, so yeah.
Yeah, that's practically there. How about you read us the synopsis of episode 9, Crisis Point?
Mariner repurposes Boimler's holodeck program to cast herself as the villain in a Lower Decks style movie.
This was a super fun episode. Like,
I loved it.
All the call outs to the movies, and all the just like subtle but wonderful references, from them traveling around the ship very slowly, to the lens flares, to them signing their names at the end. It's just such a love letter to, basically, well, I guess just all the movies.
Yeah, and making fun of the movies as well.
For sure.
They're like, I use this time to beam the entire crew over to the planet or whatever. And there's like, you can't do that. It's impossible. He's like, this is a movie. We could do that kind of thing with transporters or whatever it was.
Yeah, I love it. It's so funny because that's such a great in-universe joke that is also a meta joke. Really, really love that. So good.
My favorite thing was a really small thing where Boimler's like, I don't want to do this movie. And Mariner's like, that's okay. You were kind of a Zahn, to be honest. You probably weren't going to make the final cut. And he goes, who's Zahn? And she says, exactly.
I don't know the reference.
Oh my gosh. So before Star Trek the motion picture was
Phase 2.
The motion picture. It was Phase 2. And Leonard Nimoy was not coming back. So they had a character who was a Vulcan named Zahn. And instead of being like Spock, where he was constantly eschewing human emotion, he was going to be a Vulcan who was trying to understand humanity. He's Data. Pre-Data, like a real cross between Data and Spock.
Interesting.
And when it became a movie, when Star Wars happened, and Paramount was like, don't we have some kind of shit that's like this? And they started making it a movie. They took the guy who you can find screen tests of him, pictures and whatnot of him in a gold command suit with the ears, and he's got like, I don't know, feathered hair, like he's from the 70s. They took him and they put him in like whatever it was, the Epsilon 1 station that got destroyed or cataloged by V'ger at the beginning. So they just made him a human character and threw him in as like a little consolation prize. But so this is technically, I guess, the first canon, quote unquote canon, mention of Zahn, though, as I understand it, he was listed on a placard somewhere as Admiral Zahn in like Next Generation or something. I can't remember what show it was.
Huh. That's silly.
Yeah.
I like all the deep cuts a lot. And on top of being a great like love letter to all the movies, this was also like a really fun, we keep talking about sort of the dark humor of Rick and Morty and how we would like more of that from this show. Mariner killing the whole crew out of some sort of like need to work through some stuff was pretty dark. Pretty dark when she's like trying to get Tendi to wear the earring of the Bajoran security officer. She's like, I think there's some religious context. I'm not comfortable with that.
Yeah. I mean, my favorite stuff with that was just like how she kept like trying to shove Tendi into this like stereotypical Orion role.
Yes, I love it. I
can't remember the line where she was.
Orions have been pirates for like 5 years.
5 years? Yep.
I also
was the one.
Really love the return of the line, I will bathe in your blood. Because that was me and my girlfriend have been like referencing that line ever since it happened. We just keep going, I will bathe in your blood. And so, like, for it to come back in that context where it was just a completely different tone, but like that's a thing that Mariner says a lot, which it cracked me up, man.
I love when I laugh so hard, dude, when they're like flying to the Cerritos and they're like, she never fails to take my breath away. And it was like, I wish I could kiss her and squeeze her. Excuse me? The Cerritos is a handsome lady. You're damn right about that, Boimler. It's just like, because the movies, it's like Scotty's always just getting like way too sexual about the Enterprise.
So fun. I freaking love Shimpo. Shimpo is the holodeck version of Boimler that she created, because he comes on and he goes, I love my captain and I don't want to be doing any of this.
And then Boimler's like, yeah, that's not too far off.
And then she kills him, and as he's phasing out of existence, he goes, I was Shimpo.
That felt very Simpsons / Futurama to me.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah.
It reminded me of the Welshie gag from Where No Fan Has Gone Before from Futurama.
Yeah. I definitely see the correlation between that joke and those shows.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that Mariner kept quoting The Tempest.
Yeah.
And they were like, is she quoting The Tempest? Like,
I love it because I feel like that's a direct reference to...
that's General Chang.
Yeah. Star Trek 3.
No, Star Trek 6.
Oh, Star Trek 6. Oh, is he referencing The Tempest?
No.
Okay.
But he's screaming Shakespeare at them.
Oh, okay. Yeah. To me, it reminded me a lot of, I guess, Khan. That's who I'm thinking of, actually.
Yeah. Khan said there was an old Klingon proverb do you know the old Klingon proverb that tells us that revenge is a dish best served cold, which... That was directed by Nick Meyer, of course, and so was Star Trek 6. And there's this idea in Nick Meyer's head that maybe Shakespeare was a Klingon, or at the very least that the Klingons have appropriated Shakespeare in some way. Yeah,
that's how I always took it. But I also always... the Moby Dick references, too. Just like the idea that the villain is
that's Milton, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. But like the idea that the villain is quoting... old literature is a very like old original series Star Trek thing to do.
Yeah, old Earth literature.
Yeah, from hell's heart I spitted thee.
But I loved like the face paint and stuff on her that she has on. Just reminds me of like the Romulans from 2009. Like,
yeah,
she's got a little bit of all the like revenge plot villains. I mean, her name is what, like Vindicta or something like that. Like,
Vindicta. I really like what's his name? I always forget his name. The half robot guy.
Rutherford.
What did she call him? Like Robot B or Robot 5 or something like that? And she said like, 50% man meat, 50% robot meat, all pain.
Yeah.
Robot meat. Oh man, it's good. It's good. Like it's really good. Like it's good on multiple levels. It's a funny episode, lots of great jokes, but it's really great references to Star Trek with all the intentional moviness of it all. Mm-hmm. And it's a good story for Mariner. And Boimler. Boimler's a great sort of B plot where he's just running around trying to find out as much about the captain as he can, because that was why the program existed.
Yeah.
It's real good.
Oh, it's so good. I loved all the lens flares on the bridge too.
Oh, me too. Yeah. It was really, I feel like this was a step up for this show. And then episode 9, I think, episode 10, I think, even stepped further up. Like, I think episode 10 is even better than this one. And this one's great. Mm-hmm. You want to get into 10?
Well, sure. But before we get into it, like, I felt like I really loved how much Crisis Point really did get into Mariner's
psyche.
Her psyche. Yeah. Like, where she's fighting herself and she's like, why would I let you kick my ass to buy time for everyone to get off the ship? If I didn't care about my mother. Yeah. It was really great. Really, really great.
I should have known it was coming, but I didn't at all when she finally fights herself. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, of course. She gets to like see the version of herself that she wants to see herself as, but then there's the version of herself that's actually a composite of of her own personal log. So it's like what she actually thinks in her private time. And so that's just such a great moment of her realization of that I'm not Vindicta. I'm actually that person.
Right. Yeah. I love that Freeman and Mariner both have very, very similar reactions to the therapist.
The therapist who keeps using food metaphors.
Yeah. Carol, you're being a pineapple right now. Stop referencing foods. Yeah.
Yep. The show's real good, man. I've liked it more and more, and I really do. Maybe I've just gotten a feel for it. Maybe those first few episodes were great, and I'll go back and love them. But like, I feel like the show got better and better.
Yeah, I think it's gotten better as it's gone for sure.
And yeah, and these last two episodes, well, I guess this is just a holodeck adventure technically, but it still felt more sweeping with the whole movie idea, and sort of the same thing with with episode 10, it being like an actual adventure. Like we've been saying, we hope they deal more with the actual adventures the ships are going through, and this episode really did that.
Yeah. By the way, can I just say also that I love the line, if this were actually a movie, they would send the Enterprise, but artistic license. And I love that they destroyed the Cerritos, and it was like totally like they did the destroying the nacelle struts, and then they did the whole like crash into the planet thing. So that was like a really nice little combination of Star Trek Into Darkness and Star Trek Generations as far as the ship crashing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they just did such a good job. I was really on board with that one. And I'm really on board with this one, the No Small Parts, episode 10.
Yeah. What's that summary of episode 10?
The USS Cerritos encounters a familiar enemy. I believe that was the Packlids. And Tendi helps a struggling recruit find her footing. That's what they said, man.
I feel like that is not an appropriate explanation of this episode, because that's how the episode kind of begins. But then this episode is about what's the alien race and what are they from? I figured you might know this. I don't.
They're the Packlids. They're from Next Generation. They were the guys who seem to be they seem to have a lot of attributes that mentally challenged people generally have.
Oh.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
That is weird.
But they kind of just pick from everybody else's stuff, and they
right.
In the TNG
like
episode, in the TNG episode, they steal Geordi, and because they need an engineer to make their ship go.
That's weird.
So they gave him a little more agency here. This is one of those rare instances where they took how silly it was and made it less silly.
Yeah.
For the show, because they actually come off better than they did in TNG. And TNG, it was like straight up like borderline offensive, I think.
Interesting. I don't remember that episode. But this, I agree. This is taking them more seriously for sure. If that's how they were, but I also, I think this episode, like, the thing I didn't like about Picard was it did not live up to the promise that I felt like I got from the trailers, which was, the Federation has lost its way. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's the thing I was really disappointed about in Picard. It didn't question Starfleet like I really wanted it to.
Yeah.
And in this, Mariner and her mom are like really questioning Starfleet, you know? Mm-hmm. Like they're talking about these like you said, the Packlid, like how they left, these guys were a problem and they just kind of left them. And they talk about the race at the beginning with Landru, which I guess, is that a,
that's from TOS, man.
Oh, is it? Okay. It's TOS. It's not, the animated series.
No. Landru was like Original series, man. That was the whole thing. Like,
that name sounded familiar when they were saying it, so I wonder if I just vaguely remember Landru.
That was like the episode that where like when they first started talking about like when I first saw the trailer for The Purge, I just went, they just did Star Trek. That's because that planet totally had
the Red Hour or whatever.
The Red Hour was just like The Purge. Like that was totally just ripping off original series. But I love the concept that, some 100 years after Return of the Archons, that they just decided to go back to Landru. That is hilarious.
Yeah, that's very funny. And
they're like,
seems totally plausible.
And what was the they had a sign on the, I can't remember now. It
said Landru.
It said Landru, but then there was also a sign on it that said like "Do not worship" or something.
Yeah, I think you're right.
No, it says "Do not obey." I just found it.
I liked when they're looking at the pad of Kirk and Spock. It's the animated series version, I think.
That was funny. Yeah,
that was neat. Just because it's like we're in this new animated series of Star Trek. Mm-hmm. It's like a nice for the final episode to have a callback to the original series, the TAS, as it were.
Yeah, though that was totally from like the original series. I want to say it was the first season too, but God, sometimes I just can't quite place it.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, season 1, episode 21. Yeah.
Okay, I've definitely seen it, but I don't recall it. Yeah, but super fun episode, and like even had big headline, Riker and Troy.
Yep.
And I love what they did with them. Absolutely loved it.
And we had a lot of callbacks to TNG. We had the Exo Comp. I can't remember what her name was. Some peanut hamper or something like that. But like the Exo Comp was a sentient mechanism that was in TNG.
Neat.
In the episode "The Quality of Life." That was season 6, episode 9.
Interesting.
I wouldn't have remembered that, but you know what? Here's a fun little connection. Jonathan Frakes directed that episode.
Oh, so then he's in this one. I like it. That's real fun.
Yeah, I love that the Titan saves the day. I love that it's the Titan.
Mm-hmm. So it was so freaking cool.
Dude, I really enjoyed that cold open with the other ship that tries to like warp out and like gets destroyed. Like that was effed up, dude.
Yeah,
like that was really sad.
As soon as that happened, like I was laying there watching it with Alyssa, and that happened, and I like started kind of freaking. I was like, oh my gosh, they're doing like stakes. Like a Federation ship was just destroyed, and Alyssa's like, well, so, and I'm like, that doesn't happen that often. Like that's a deal, man. There's a lot of people on that ship. Like when a full Federation ship is lost, like it's a big deal to the fleet, you know?
Yeah.
It made me feel.
And they did a really good job of showing that captain, like, I don't know, like folding under pressure a little bit and like trying to like fight to survive. Like I thought it was really well done.
Absolutely.
And then meeting it with the irreverence of Captain Freeman being like, I can't wait to see her face when I pull her ass out of the fire. Like, like you're such a jerk. And it totally like makes more sense to like that this is the person that Mariner does not want to become, because this is totally the person she would become if she was just like ambitious as hell and really let herself lean into that.
Right. Yeah. I'm really interested to meet her father. Have we met her father? We saw him, I think, on a G screen.
Yeah, I think they had a conversation in the first episode, I believe. I'm
interested to see what he's like, how different he is. I feel like we'll get that eventually.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just remembering. It's always weird revisiting planets from the TOS era. TOS is what I call the 2260s. Stands for those old scientists.
It's real good. Real good. Yep. Yeah, this show is just so much fun. Really love it. And the fact that they can do an episode like this where they really tell a story. And we even had a crewman die this episode. Like, not only did
Shax, main guy.
Someone we really like. And we've talked about how much we like him. I'm really sad to see him go.
Yeah, me too.
He died 2 episodes in a row. One was a holodeck death, of course. But
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think he did. Maybe he did. I remember him saying something about tell him Shax sent you straight from Bajor or something. When you get to hell, tell him Shax sent you straight from Bajor. Yeah, dude, I was sad that Shax died, but even though I was sad that he died, that picture they showed of him on his casket was hilarious. Just like, it reminded me of the, like, when they would do, like, really detailed, like, hand-painted frames on Ren and Stimpy that were just like way more detailed than the rest of the show.
That's
you can see like veins in the eyes and stuff.
Yeah, that's really fun.
I loved Steve Levy. I don't remember how he fares in this episode, but I want more of him.
Wait, who's Steve Levy? Now I'm lost.
He was the guy that's like, hey, Mariner, I'm Lieutenant Levy. We went on a date last year. I don't know if you recall. She's like, yeah, Steve, I remember. You said Wolf 359 was an inside job.
He's like, so good.
It totally was. So, hey, I was wondering, could you give this to your mom for me? It's just a few ideas I threw together on how to decorate the captain's yacht. Fine, whatever. You're the best. Thanks, Mariner. Changelings are real. The Dominion War didn't happen.
Dude, I laughed so hard, and Alyssa had no idea what was going on. I laughed so hard at changelings aren't real. The Dominion War never happened. And as he walks off screen, so good. Yeah, I want more of him too.
Yeah, me and Bethany just like howled and had to rewind it to catch it all. We were just like, wait, did he just say changelings aren't real? The Dominion War didn't happen?
I did the same thing. I totally rewound and watched that again, but I heard it all. I was just like, I need to hear that again. It's so good.
It was so good.
Yeah. That's maybe the best line in the series so far.
I don't know. Ta'ana saying, you think your mom would be okay with me and Shax making a little love connection? I'd love to snag that Bajoran beefsteak with my coital hooks.
Oh, gosh. I don't recall that one. Bajoran beefsteak with my coital hooks. Man, I can't believe this is Star Trek.
I need more lines like that in my life.
Oh, and of course, not only did this show take a serious tone in this episode, it had stakes, but both the ship exploding at the beginning and Shax dying, but it also brought back a beloved character. So that the series itself had arc to it. Badgie came back.
Oh, Badgie. So that's 3 beloved characters, I guess.
Freaking Badgie. He's like...
Badgie was so fun.
Just turn off the safety protocols. Trust to kill him at the end.
It's like, I already have 3 working viruses for this. How long have you been working on this?
Yep, Badgie's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, he's fun.
When he's on the ice planet dying and keeps saying he's gonna kill his father as he's dying.
Yep.
I don't remember any of them, but they were hilarious.
Yeah, they were. I don't remember them, but
I just saw the Tribble. When Mariner later in the episode, they say that and you had a Tribble, and she was like, that was for personal use.
all the contraband was great.
Yeah, I didn't notice, but in the moment when the contraband drops out of the ceiling, a Tribble bounces off to the right. It's pretty great. And I like that Boimler's using a fencing, like everyone else is using badass weapons, and Boimler has the fencing saber or whatever.
Yeah. That was great.
It's all good, man. It's all so good.
Did you catch what Shax called Rutherford before he kicked him? He threw him in the shuttle and kicked the shuttle off.
No, what do you call him?
Hang in there, baby bear.
Oh yeah, just Shax's pushing the shuttle out with his bare hands was pretty badass. I thought he was about to like fall into space, and then that shield came up. I was like, that was really neat. I liked that a lot. It's good. It's real good, man. It's real good. I don't have much to say other than how good I just thought this last episode was awesome.
Yep. I love how ridiculous Riker is.
Oh yeah. Another really great line. I was just watching that first Enterprise with Archer and crew. That's so good. It's such a funny thing because it's like such a hated moment in Star Trek history, and so for him to just gleefully talk about it is so funny.
Yeah,
just embracing it.
Yeah, when he's like, Archer and those guys, what a story. Those guys had a long road getting from there to here.
Those guys had a long road getting from there to here. It's so dumb. It's so dumb and so good. Oh, man. Yeah. I didn't expect myself to get to the end of season 1 of Lower Decks and be like, I really need more of that. I really, really need more of that.
Yeah. I love the Riker and Mariner point where he's like, hey, how about you buy me a drink? Since we're even, remember the thing with the aliens where I saved your ass? And we are not even. And we don't use money. What happened to you, man? You used to be sharp.
You used to be sharp. Oh man, I love that. I love that we get these parts of the story sort of filled in. I love that we get to see Titan era Riker, played by Jonathan Frakes. It's just super fun.
Yeah.
Like stuff we always wanted to see. Like me and you would joke and talk about how like, man, they could totally do a Titan show. Like when we were like teenagers and shit. And then, that's like, we don't get that, but we get a weird Rick and Morty style cartoon where he appears.
Yeah. And, they also, like Mariner threatened to feed Boimler to an Armus. Remember, Armus was the slick black oil creature that was like the combination of those settlers' hate and whatever, and he's the one that killed Tasha Yar.
Okay, I don't remember the name of it.
It was Armus.
Armus.
I know too much shit, man.
Nah, man. It's good. It's good.
So on Memory Alpha, though, they say that among Mariner's contraband stored in the walls of the corridor, Phillips picks up what appears to be the Remco 1976 Star Trek Space Fun helmet toy. It's like a giant helmet with like a blast visor, and it's got like...
So I'm guessing that was a toy they made that was never actually in the show, like one of those things.
It is a terrible thing.
Funny that they like put it in the show.
It's got like a chin strap. It's got like an antenna. It's got like a light on top, like it's a police car, and it says in big letters across the front, Spock.
I love it. I love that. That's so fun. Because back in the day, that's how it'd be. Like, I don't know. You probably know more than I do. But like when Star Wars would come out, they would like the toys would come out before the movies would, and people would be like, I'm pretty sure Boba Fett was a toy before he was a character, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And then like people had the toy and they were like, this is going to be the coolest character. And then they get on screen and he's on there for 4 seconds. And they still thought he was the coolest character.
Yeah. So I'm a little haunted, but not surprised by a thing that Riker says to Troy at the end of this episode. He's talking about this planet and he's like, hey, they have a little Risa there. Should we bring the little Horgon? And she's like, no, just the normal one we use. Like, dude, they getting freaky. Which I would assume based on how much Troy and Riker got down with random people on the show, they would probably have to if they were going to make that marriage work.
Well, yeah. I mean, you know, I always assumed they were getting down.
No, I mean, like, you know, swingers.
Oh. Yeah, she's Betazoid. Seems to be pretty open about things.
Yeah. I mean, every time he was on a planet, he was running around with some lady. So it's interesting to hear, you know, those actors confirming that their characters are swingers. That's all I'm saying.
No, it's super funny. Oh, dude, this line is so good. And just rewatching here, that like where Ransom's like, "Can you introduce me to some of your Betazoid friends?" And she says, "Jack, I sense you exaggerate your confidence in order to mask an ocean of insecurity." He says, "Oh, will they sense that too? I can use that." Oh man, that's real good. So did Rutherford lose his implant? Is it going to be back?
His implant is gone and he can't remember, and I'm assuming his implant will be gone, or I'm assuming his implant will be back in some capacity, but they have said that Rutherford losing his memory is going to be part of season 2.
Okay.
Mike McMahon said that they are not undoing what they did at the end of this season, so when we come back, the first episode's going to have Riker in it. Boimler's going to be on the Titan. Like, that is a thing. That is where he is right now.
Yeah, I assumed that the Boimler thing would yeah, I guess I assumed both those things, which is super fun to be able to assume, I guess.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that we're going to have, you know, more character growth than Voyager ever had. I love it.
I mean, I'm assuming they'll wind back up on the Cerritos at some point, somehow.
Yeah, or it's called Lower Decks. It doesn't have to be the Cerritos. This could be, yeah, but I think you're probably right. This is probably a Anne situation.
Mm-hmm. But you know,
Buffy season 4, episode 1, Anne.
Yeah.
I had to explain to the people. I didn't feel like I knew you knew what I was talking about, which I was impressed by.
I hate my life.
Yeah, that's an episode of Buffy where she goes away for the first episode, but then by the second episode, she's back in town.
Yeah, absolutely. Like a truck stop waitress or something. Or she's like a diner waitress.
Yeah, she's working at a diner. Man,
yeah,
love that show.
And it was funny is like me and Jason were just talking about how Gary on Legends might turn out to be a Wesley, and we had like a whole explanation for like Wesley's arc and why we were saying that.
Yeah,
like Jason was just like, yeah, he might be a Wesley, and I'm like, okay, for those of you who don't know what Angel is.
I love that happened on 2 of your shows this week.
Yep, same night.
Same night.
It wasn't me bringing it up.
I know, that's hilarious. Buffy, the Buffyverse, really the Whedonverse is just like my touchstone for a lot of different, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Tropes in media, archetypes. Mm-hmm. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
All right. So next week's Discovery starts, right?
Yes, it does.
Man, actually, I guess it's in a couple days. Wednesday night?
Like 3 days, yeah.
Is it Wednesday night that it drops?
It's going to be Thursday, I think.
Okay. Well, we'll talk off cast, but I'd love to do that, at least that first episode as quick as we can, because I love to do that.
I'll try, man, but you know how it is. Like, if it actually comes out Thursday morning, I should be able to get it done.
Cool.
But
maybe do that.
Thursday, I'm going to be working all day.
Cool.
So it might have to be Friday sometime.
Yeah.
Friday night.
As much as I've really enjoyed this show, as I've said over and over, I haven't been as I'm not just
invested.
It's hard to invest in podcasting about comedy to me, because I feel like, but this week we were talking about it me and Jeffrey James, because Jeffrey James, shout out to you, buddy. He guested on Pandavision. He was talking about how much fun it was to listen to us talk about this comedy, and that made me like, oh, well, we should have done it more. Because the last few weeks we've done a few at a time.
And look, you told Matt you missed the show, and I guess you were using that Adam language or whatever because you manifested it. Here it is.
If you don't know what we're talking about, it's way too long a story. Go listen to Pandavision, the Language of Adam episode. Actually, just watch Lovecraft Country and listen to Pandavision. This show is so good.
Or Jeffrey James's book. Tell them to read that to know what we're talking about. God,
I think it's Anyway, you guys check it out. It's super fun and serendipitous. And our buddy Jeffrey James happened to be sort of an expert, and he happened to be an expert on a thing that was in the show Lovecraft Country, so he came on and talked about it on Pandavision, which was just super
basically
fun.
Lovecraft Country is they are ripping him off, y'all.
You didn't say that.
This is like Terminator and James Cameron and Harlan Ellison all over again. Like, I'm just playing.
Dream of electric Blade Runners?
No. That's Philip K. Dick.
Oh, I messed it up.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, yeah, Harlan Ellison's the guy who wrote a bunch of things, but I never know what they are.
Yeah, James Cameron said in a Starlog interview that, off the record, that to get the idea for Terminator, he ripped off a couple of Harlan Ellison Outer Limits segments, specifically Soldier and Demon with the Glass Hand. And that person was a friend that he was talking to was a friend of Harlan Ellison's. And he alerted Harlan, and Harlan already had his suspicions, and for instance, he hadn't been invited to the premiere, and he was usually invited to these sorts of things, and they had asked about it, and no one would tell him what it was about. So yeah, he sued him. He sued the shit out of him, and that's why in the credits for Terminator now it says something about acknowledging the works of Harlan Ellison.
Huh. Neat. That's neat.
Yep.
All right. Well, I guess that's all of the Star Trek Universe podcast for tonight, guys.
That's it.
We love you very much. Jolan True.
And live long and prosper. I don't love you. I only like you as a friend.
I love you as a friend.
I can't commit to that.
Thank you for listening to the Star Trek Universe podcast, a Stranded Panda production. If you'd like to hear more from David C. Robertson, check out the DC On Screen podcast or maladjusted.tv for his web videos. If you'd like to hear more from Matthew Carroll, check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast or listen to his music. Just search for Matthew Carroll anywhere you get music.